died that Roisin lived again with pride. Her sons at home to work and sing, her youth to dance and make our valleys ring. Or the faceless men who for mark and dower betray her to the highest bidder, to whom do we owe our allegiance today.
The rising was just a military aspect of the Irish national awakening at the beginning of the 20th century. But the wish for national sovereignty and our own Irish identity also motivated Irish artists and writers of all kinds to make their statements, which they did. Let's hear some of them now.
Patrick Cavan was born in Inniskeen, County Monaghan in 1904. He left school at the age of 13, apparently destined to plough the stony grey soil rather than write about it. But I dabbled in verse, he said, and it became my life. He died in 1967 and was buried in his native Inniskeen. Threshing morning. On an apple-ripe September morning to the mist-chilled fields I went, with a pitchfork on my shoulder, less for use than for devilment. The threshing wheel was set up, I knew, in Cassidy's haggard last night, and we owed them a day of the threshing since last year. Oh, it was delight to be paying bills of laughter and chappy gossiping kind, with work thrown in to ballast the fantasy so in mind. As I crossed the wooden bridge, I wondered, as I looked into the drain, if ever summer morning should find me shoveling my beans again. And I thought of the wasp's nest in the bank, and how I got chased one day, leaving the drag and the straw knife behind, how I covered my face with hay. The wet leaves of the cockswood polished my boots as I went round with the glistening bog holes, lost in unthinking joy. I'll be carrying bags today, I mused. The best job at the mill, with plenty of time to talk of our loves as we wait for the bags to fill. Maybe Mary might call round. And then I came to the haggard gate, and I knew as I entered that I had come through fields that were part of no earthly escape.
This is a poem by John Antoinette, who was an Irish poet, author, priest, philosopher. He was a native Irish speaker, best known for popularising Celtic spirituality with such books as Anam Cara and Benedictus, a book of blessings. He was born in County Clare in 1956 and died in Avignon, France, 2008, aged 53, while on holiday. This is an excerpt from the poem For Grief. When you lose someone you love, your life becomes strange. The ground beneath you becomes fragile. Your thoughts make your eyes unsure, and some dead echo drags your voice down where words have no confidence. Your heart has grown heavy with loss, and though that this loss has wounded others too, no one knows what has been taken from you. When the silence of absence deepens, flickers of guilt kindle regret for all that was left unsaid or undone. Gradually you will learn acquaintance with the invisible form of your departed, and when the work of grief is done, the wound of loss will heal, and you will have learned to wean your eyes from the gap in the air, and be able to enter the hearth in your soul where your loved one has waited your return all the time.
The travelling people had a big influence on the culture of the country. Before the advent of rural electrification and the introduction of radio into rural Ireland, they brought new music and songs from different places on their travels. and most importantly they brought news to the country areas. In his play Sive, John B. Keane illustrates this through the character Pascal Cork. On the road from Abbeyfield, sure I met a man with mail, says he, come here and bide your idle time. Oh, and me, he made quite bows, then the young will wed the owl, and the old man will have the money for the child. Sure, there was money making everywhere. The face of the country is changing. The small man with the one cow and the pig in the middle of the bog is coming into his own. He's pulling himself up out of the muck and the dust of the heels. The shopkeeper's losing his stiffness. 'Tis only what I see in my travels. The farmer with the new law of the land. There will be great changes everywhere. The servant boy is wearing the collar and tie. The servant girl is painting and powdering and putting silkified stockings on her feet and wearing filly small clothes and all dress. 'Tis only what I see in my travels. Money is coming in from America. People are talking to their relations in England and America through a yoke in the wall. A telephone is what they call it. John B. Keane was a historical publican and one of Ireland's most prolific playwrights. In his plays he highlighted many of the problems that beset the country. Plays such as The Field, The Chastitute, Maul, and the above-mentioned Sive focused on many of these issues. One of the principal problems facing the country during the 1960s was emigration, which he highlighted in his play, Many Young Men of 20. Many young men of 20 said goodbye all that long day, from break of dawn till the sun was high. Many young men of 20 said goodbye. They left the mountains and the glens, the lasses and the fine young men. I saw a tear of every girl and boy. Many young men of 20 said goodbye.
This poem, Asgaige, by Mhealoid, now aged 94, is supposedly spoken by a young woman who resents having fallen in love with the local glamour boy. On Shanghar, the Mhealoid, Cadaví Éden gon dhéann siad do phréifre. Ní dhéannas ortach féachant is do phréig mo hir. Clean dark na soad las do chos céim a bétram, do hís do Patricia is go réimi cripit tíam. Is a crilo gani ba crotch on Washabich chop the near a dua or bukuan in Aniston. Cadris Fuji Shorias near Brahowadrin, Akmalo to Banka on an after. Oid Vrana do we have shot my rehadar idea, my hits there the breach stitch, nor coming on the gas. Bear the war in Ishagon, sit your gusher cly and fair on vecking who harrow on troll. Is a Kilo Gani is father Lama Tapton Shaw, is got Brian Beard down Nehemshe is larger now the Dr. May. A year vorn a glory, me few vebio ma warrensha. It's not trust the air on broad salt on tea a rock of gaffa on. Maar loopne oer onvarige in Merfen on Lee, Arian the Hach the Nagalon. Is this gillen long no blood of like a moise and a wen, or lau fain le green. In our court is nor varra gone no van wen go brock. Is a Kilo Gani the riff of dumb false scarlet, Carnes dumb Wadasa. Salmark na Clara, Soccerman na Haglisha, the Horigi Shantilli, the Major Lum to Yarmouth.
James Joyce was different. He rejected what he saw as the narrow Catholic Irish nationalism that was emerging. He said he would fight against it with the weapons at his disposal: silence, cunning, and exile. He emigrated to mainland Europe, to Italy, then later to France, Paris, and also to Switzerland. But his Ulysses novel is probably Ireland's best-known book. In it, Leopold Bloom does a one-day journey through the city of Dublin on the 16th of June 1904. the date that Joyce first walked out Nora Barnacle, his future wife. And here's how it starts. Stately plump Buck Mulligan came from the stairhead, bearing a bowl of lather on which a mirror and a razor lay crossed. A yellow dressing gown, ungirdled, was sustained gently behind him by the mild morning air. He held the bowl aloft and intoned, "In Chuibo ad altare Dei." Halted, he peered down the dark, winding stairs and called up coarsely, "Come up, Kitch! Come up, you fearful Jesuit!" Solemnly, he came forward and mounted the round gun rest. He faced about and blessed gravely thrice the tower, the surrounding country and the awaking mountains, and then, catching sight of Stephen Dedalus, he bent towards him and made rapid crosses in the air, gurgling in his throat and shaking his head. Stephen Dedalus, displeased and sleepy, leaned his arms on the top of the staircase and looked coldly at the shaking, gurgling face that blessed him, equine in its length, and at the light untonsured hair, grained and hued like pale oak. Mulligan peeped an instant under the mirror and then covered the bowl smartly. "Back to barracks," he said sternly.
Her Dream by Paula Meighan, an Irish poet and playwright, born in Dublin in 1955 and studied at Trinity College. Her Dream. This is the fountain, you could look over it from a balcony. I would cup cool water under the moon's reflection, including the lines of my gown. I would carry this small moon for you, through the city's narrow streets, through blighted raging days, to fling at your feet a spent coin thrown down on cobbles. I would wear a white dress, edged with poppies. I would pin golden rings in my ears, and walk the edge of the fountain round to spin you a fatal story. The square would be bereft of chanting children, of men at games of chess, of women bearing home goods from the market, and cats who ought to be napping on the sills. My 13 clocks are all the same. I borrow all my maps.
Dermot Healy, who sadly died in 2014, aged 66, was reared in Cavan town at Mhealoid, Breffni, a bakery shop on Main Street, owned by his aunt Maisie Slack and by Dermot's mother. The Bend for Home, an extract by Dermot Healy. It was again Thursday, half day in Cavan town. Potato sacks were taken in, shop gates raised, grids pulled across displays, the bells and the doors of the grocers went quiet. Maisie emptied the till and the shop went dark. Flood's flowers were brought indoors and watered. Today's bread was put in behind yesterday's. The last cones were served in Katie Bannon's. The shift changed at the barracks. Hughie Smith, the county secretary of the GAA, stood on the steps of the courthouse, stroked the sparse down of grey hair on his chin, and headed in the direction of the White Star. The cobbler wet his plum, cut a deck of cards, and began a game of poker in the CYMS snooker hall. Mr. Tom McKenna, in a large, neat pinstripe suit, stepped carefully on stocking feet into his window to undress a model. Hickeys the butchers pulled in their awnings. The man left the caravan at the weighbridge. The bank manager's wife stood estranged at her window looking down on the town. A dog sprinted across Breffni Park. 5 labourers sat eating sandwiches and drinking milk in an Andy on Main Street. A traveller from Jacob's Biscuit stood behind the faded curtains of the White Swan and wiped his glasses. Mrs. Battle put away her camphor bowls. Denny Brennan dropped his ladder and tins of paint in Riley's yard and entered the Imperial. Hugh Goff served a bottle of stout to Phil Hill. Jack does a light down Main Street. The miller green went home to sing Phelan's like a snowman. A dog and he